Hello!
We are Annie and Konstantin.
And you're watching another episode of...
Updates. We are about to embark on a little adventure to Nuremberg and then on to Berlin. And in Nuremberg we are going to be recording the voiceover for La Mocteur, the short film that we have been talking about for about 2 years now. So the past few days we've been working on the voiceover text and, polishing it into perfection. So we're really excited because there's, movement on that project, which is very, very good. And then in Berlin we are going to be explicitly not doing film stuff, though we might take the camera. We'll see.
Besides that, after our little vacation trip to Berlin, we're now actually and for sure planning on start shooting the Depression Anxiety Life Hacks episode 2. We have great news from the Verfasste Studierendenschaft because we ordered a bunch of equipment which has arrived. A lot of cool toys which will make Depression Anxiety Life Hacks episode 2 even faster and even more pretty done. Faster done pretty. Yes, to these plans. Epiphanies.
This week has kind of been about perspective again, and about how things change depending on how you look at them. And I think this is mostly because I'm coming out of my beginning of the year funk, and I'm seeing the world a lot differently suddenly. I'm in this re-evaluation phase still right now, where I'm kind of going over all the things that, have been good in my life and all the things that have not. And analyzing the crap out of them. And in that, I'm thinking about education a lot, because I'm hopefully about to go back to school, and I've been remembering school a lot more recently. When we're at our best, that's a thing that I think most of us do, is we go out and we seek to learn, we seek to find new things and to gather new information and to pick up new skills. And the cool thing about learning is that usually you're trying to improve one thing, and very rarely do you get just that one thing. You don't just get one answer, you don't just learn one thing, but your whole reality shifts a little bit. And sometimes it's just super minor. That's the beauty of, learning about geometry in school, and everyone is like, what do we need this for? And I was always a huge nerd, so I was always like, this is cool, I can calculate things that I, thought about before, but now I know how to do it. But it changes your understanding of the world, it changes the way you look at things. And that's, a super banal example, but when it gets to learning creative things, learning philosophy, learning new ideas, learning new ways of looking at the world in general, it can shift your entire perception of the things around you. And in that, it can change your entire world because you're seeing a different thing. And there's so much power in that. The truly cool thing about that is that it makes change not a possibility, but a necessity. You can absolutely rely on the fact that just about everything can change, and everything is in a state of flux, as long as you're open to learning, to find out more, and to open yourself up more, and to see more things, and to discover things. And usually, when you open yourself up to discover things, to learn new things, you have no idea what you're actually looking for. I mean, sometimes you're like, I want to learn Spanish, because I want to learn a new language. But even then, new languages change your frame of looking at things. I mean, there's always so much more attached to any idea, to anything you might want to learn, that can change your entire framework. And that is intensely comforting, because so often the world just pretty much sucks. But there's always that reliable possibility of learning new things and changing everything. I just think that that's a really good thought to enter this year with, which I'm doing a month late, because the first month doesn't count.
A thing that, again, really occurred to me this week is the subjectivity of feelings. Because communicating feelings and an emotional state of mind was never easy for me, because I'm a very rational person, and I approach the world very rationally, mostly based on facts. Obviously not completely based on facts, because nobody does that. But in my way of understanding myself and the world, the focus is heavily on the rational side. And especially when the topic is the relationship between humans, which is obviously tightly connected to emotions, I sometimes have kind of a hard time. I've been thinking about how a certain word, a certain feeling has different emotional connotation for different people. For instance, the feeling of loneliness. Everybody knows what it means, feeling lonely. But the intensity of this feeling can be diverse. Communicating feelings is hard because when we communicate, we only have this construct of language, which by itself is a largely logical construct because you have rules and you have ways to say things. It's very tightly tied to the rational system. So communicating feelings is a tough job because it's like communicating feelings through math. Talking about art is like dancing to architecture. And same thing is talking about feelings is like almost never completely possible. So you have to find analogies and you have to find ways to communicate your feelings and be simply really aware of that fact that words that are tied to emotions can have a completely different impact on other persons. It's an interesting thing to think about for me on my never-ending journey to understand myself and humanity and my correlation with the humanity and myself.
Your voice just got super low there at the end.
This is my usual voice. This is my usual voice. And now some music.
I'm good.
Good. Hello!